Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Oh, Bahubali is over, isn't it? I'm watching Snatched with Amy Schumer and, what's-her-face? They go on vacation and they get kidnapped, and it's so funny. Like, she in the trailer, she says, I'm gonna, when I finish counting, I'm gonna shoot the gun. And he says no. And she says 199. Get it? Because go on for way too long. Well, you know how I've completely given up on comedy movies ever actually being funny anymore? Well, I've lowered my standards to a point where I can consider a movie at least passable if it has two things. One, actual jokes with setups and punchlines. And two, consistent characterization. That means that if a person is stuffy and like nonchalant, that person will stay that way unless a significant character change happens in them. Movie fails on both points. 4 out of 10. Let's go home. Ugh. God, I hate talking about this shit all the fucking time. I hate it so much. So let me get to some funnier aspects. Honestly, the only point in the movie that did make me laugh. Of course, this movie is where Amy Schumer and her mother Goldie Hawn go on vacation to Ecuador. And there's a scene early on where they're sunbathing. And they make jokes about, like, the sun and stuff, because Goldie Hawn comes out wearing a lot of things on, and, like, Amy Schumer makes jokes about that. The funny thing is, it is completely overcast. And it's not just exposure or anything. No, this guy is covered completely in clouds. There is not an inch of sun peeking through. In fact, at no point during the movie do we see the sun, as far as I can remember. Maybe there's, like, glints of it, but for the most part, totally overcast. And you know what? I have some sympathy for that. I mean, you can't control the weather. Even if you're a director who has, like, millions of dollars at your disposal, you can't just, like, tell the clouds to go away for that day of shooting. And, you know, I get that. I get that. But it's just kind of funny, in a sense, because the movie was probably filmed in winter in order to get a release date here. And, I'm just wondering if they filmed it in, like, the Bahamas or something, thinking, like, it's always sunny in the Bahamas. Then they got there and realized, oh shit, it's winter. And it's kind of decided to roll with it. But here's my question. In shitty movies like this, they tend to just improvise a lot of the dialogue. In fact, a lot of the dialogue in this is painfully improvised. So why not improvise something else to match the weather? That too much effort? That's all I have to say. And yeah, literally that's the only thing of note that I can think of. Should I give reasons for my diagnosis on the no actual jokes and stuff thing? Well, the no actual jokes is hard to say, because normally it's just like funny-ish lines and stuff they'll go for instead of actual setups and payoffs. They do have like a couple setups, actually, at the beginning, like really painfully obvious ones, like she's given a rape whistle that's actually a dog whistle, and that was a mistake, right? I think in, like, the same scene, is it? They're also, Oh no, not the same scene. A slightly later scene, like 2 scenes later, she also learns this one random dance, and she specifically states, "I learned how to do this cool dance," just so we don't forget that. And both of these things are used during, like, the last 5 minutes of the movie. So, but that's not really a joke setup and payoff. That's a, like, situational getting out of trouble setup and payoff, which I'm glad they actually decided to use movie elements for once. And yeah, that is good. I'm glad you are able to use basic movie elements, but that's still technically not joke elements. And here's an example of where they did not actually do a good setup. In fact, it's like horrible. There's this guy they get, and he presents himself as like action man and stuff. You know, he can lead them out of the wilderness and to civilization, right? And they follow him. And then it turns out, here's the joke, he's actually a manager of a department store. And he's come here because he's dying of cancer and has like a week left to live and has no idea how any of this works. There's the thing. If he was diagnosed with terminal cancer and was at death's door, in fact, was proposed to die within a week, why does he look so good? Why does he look so healthy? How come he doesn't lack energy? How come he isn't sweating a lot? Basic things, you know? Like, I'm not disputing the fact that he has a tan or that he has hair, like, but that could have been set up. You could have had some sort of hint that that might happen without explicitly stating it, if you actually had proper fucking writing. But they don't bother with that shit. The fact that he has cancer is silly, random lol, and that's all they care about. And it's bullshit. And as far as consistent characterizations, Goldie Hawn is supposed to be playing this shut-in mom who used to be adventurous back in the old days, but has since now lives in her house with her agoraphobic son and like a bunch of cats, right? So she's an elderly shut-in now. So why does she suddenly have even an inkling of going on a trip like this? Like, they do make a joke, like, at the beginning, well, a joke, where Amy Schumer proposes that they go there, and she says, no. And then Amy Schumer says one more line, and she says, oh, okay, and then they go. But, like, why would she have even an inkling of doing that? Why would she have even an inkling of leaving the resort? You know, you need to give, like, pretty strong reasons for these things. Especially later on. Why is she all of a sudden so okay with, like, killing someone, for instance? Like, why is she okay with the idea all of a sudden? They don't give the consistent characterization they need. So people kind of flip-flop depending on what they think is funny enough. When in reality, it doesn't come across as that funny. It comes across as if you're watching some sort of live sketch, and people are improvising most of it, and it's not a very good comedy. And here's another thing I have to add. There is like 15 major problems with comedy movies these days. And I've talked about almost all of them, but, you know, if each new one, I suppose I gotta go into more depth. Here is yet another major flaw that makes modern comedy movies so bad, and it's exemplified in this movie in particular. Nobody wants to be the straight man. Nobody wants to be the guy who is a serious character, a person who we could identify with as someone from the real world, to react to the silly things that the other character does. Nobody wants to be that. People apparently love Laurel and Hardy, but do not want to be Hardy. They love the Three Stooges, but they don't want to be Moe. That's what I've been noticing. Nobody wants to be the straight man. Everybody has to be the funny guy. Even minor characters, so minor, with 6 lines, have to have some sort of comedic quirk to them. Everyone. There is nobody left to react to the funny stuff. Amy Schumer does something crazy? Is her mom going to react to that? No, her mom does something crazy. It's not as funny. I'm telling you. As, like, non-existent as the jokes in this movie are, at the very least, the funny situations, the funny musings of Amy Schumer or somebody else could have been heightened tenfold with the addition of somebody, anybody, who kept a straight face and was not in on the joke. At any time. Any fucking time. It's not hard. Honestly. I know it's not the fun role. It's not the one where you get to be all wacky and goofy. But it's the important role. Because let me tell you, I love Curly Howard from the Three Stooges. I love him. He is my favorite stooge. But if the Three Stooges were comprised of 3 Curlys, it would get really annoying really fast. And that's all that the freaking comedy movies of today are. It's populated entirely by Curlys because nobody wants to be Moe. Maybe some people want to be Larry, but nobody wants to be Moe. And that's that is reason number 15 or so of why comedy movies these days suck. Until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer Situation.